Are you ready to become the dad you were meant to be? Good, because this is the Epic Dad Legacy Podcast, where imperfect actions are better than perfect ideas, promises kept are more important than promises made, and nothing happens unless you make it happen. My name is Drew, father of three, the founder of the Epic Dad Company. My mission is to help dads up their game and become the husbands, fathers, and men they're called to be. We need epic dads now more than ever. And it is your responsibility and obligation to become the best father you can be and show your kids what is possible. Listen in for weekly tips, strategies, and actions you can take to go from average dad to epic dad. Thanks for listening. Now let's start the episode. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Epic Dad Legacy Podcast. As always, this is your host, Drew Camp, the founder of the Epic Dad Company. Hey, guys, welcome to another Monday, another awesome episode where we go search and find a high-performing dad, whether that is in fitness, whether that is in relationships, whether that is in mindset and discipline, whether it's in business. We want to bring the best dads out there and bring them onto the show, have a discussion with them, and find out what the heck they're doing and how can we do it and how can we emulate it. And so that is what we've got going on today, guys. If you are new to the show, first off, I want to say thank you for being here. Our mission with this podcast and with the Epic Dad Company is to change the culture by creating more epic dads. And we truly believe that that starts with each individual. It starts with us stepping up as a father, us stepping up into the role of a leader of our family. We feel like that is going to raise the next generation, and that's going to compound over time. And eventually we will turn the tide on our culture just by doing that, right? But that's not only it. It is once you start leveling up as a dad, becoming the best husband, father, or man you can be, other people are going to notice. Other dads in your network are going to notice and wonder what the heck you are doing. And so we are also being able to lead by example and lift others up in our community by bettering ourselves. And so that is what this podcast is all about. On Mondays, we drop an interview podcast, again, like I just talked about, where we bring on an epic guest and ask some questions about what they're doing and make sure that we can get very tactical and practical on things that you guys can do starting today to start leveling up as a dad. And then on Fridays, we're going to get more consistent with this. We're going to do a Friday dad talk episode where it is just me and my thoughts behind the microphone coming at you hot. And that could be about a specific topic on how do we better ourselves. Could be a specific topic on my reaction to what's happening in culture and society and how it impacts us as fathers and our children. And so those episodes will be coming out much more consistently every Friday for a Friday Dad Talk episode. And who knows, maybe we'll add some more into the mix as well as this show continues to grow. And so I want to say thank you again for being here. Thank you for supporting the mission. If you get some value from this show and this episode in particular, my only ask from you is twofold. Is one, I want you to drop down below and leave us a quick 5-star review. That really helps us, other dads find us organically when they're searching for podcasts, right? It helps us rank higher on iTunes, rank higher on Spotify. And you never know that this episode right here might be the one that a dad in your network needs to hear because he is struggling. He's suffering in silence. And this could be the key for him to get motivated to start taking some action and create some real change in his life. So that's number one, is leave a 5-star review for us. And number two is I want you to share this show. I want you to share it with 3 other dads in your network. Could be a dad at work, could be a dad at a sports function, could be a dad at church. But word of mouth is how we spread this show. We don't run ads on the show. We don't run ads to the show. So the only way we grow is through a pure value exchange, that you get value from the show and you share it. So that is my 2-part ask, is leave a review and share the show. All right, guys. Now, with that out of the way, let's hop into what we got going on today. So today we have on Karl Bratland, or you guys might know him as LivFitKarl. He's just at LivFitKarl on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, on you name it. That's his handle. And I found out about Karl, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months ago. And Karl is a fitness and nutrition coach, specifically helping dads to get in better shape, to get better mindset around fitness, around nutrition, to start seeing some results in and out of the gym. And Karl's approach is phenomenal. If you guys go to his Instagram page, you'll see what I'm talking about. But he takes a very common sense approach to how we should be staying fit as dads. And so, a lot of us, right, we are listening to this. Maybe we used to be athletes in college or high school, and maybe we used to go to a traditional gym, right? Like Gold's Gym. We go in the afternoon for 2 hours. We do curls for girls in front of the mirror, and get some awesome results that way. And then all of a sudden, we're a dad and things change, priorities change. And the way that a lot of us are approaching fitness is with that same old school mindset that I need to be going to the gym, 5 times a week. I need to be, going to a traditional gym and getting an hour and a half workout in. And you're trying to force this into your current lifestyle as a dad, and it just doesn't work. There's just not enough time for that. And so that's kind of what Karl and I top into today, is how we can approach fitness as a busy dad to make sure that we are staying consistent with our fitness, to make sure that we're not going, in the wrong direction with that. And so we talked through that. We talked through a whole host of things. So you guys are going to want to have your notebook handy for this. And you're going to get a lot of valuable nuggets about fitness, about nutrition, and really, about community as well, and how important it is to surround yourself with other dads, whether that's just for fun, or whether that is to surround yourself with a group and a network of dads that are going to help you level up and help hold you accountable and help make sure you are being disciplined to the type of person that you say you want to be. So with that, guys, let's hop into this episode with Karl Bratland, or at LivFitKarl. So you got the 2 twins at home then, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And how's the adjustment been, of having the 2 younger ones?
As you know, as a dad, the transitions are always the toughest. So it's like the first couple of weeks of any change, well, for everybody, but for kids specifically, like when we got out of school, summer started, and it was just like, I don't know, a big adjustment for my wife and everything. She's a teacher. And now going back, she's a teacher, so it's a big adjustment for her, big adjustment for my, 4 and 6-year-old boys who are going to, school as well. One's in first grade, the other one's in like a junior kindergarten, pre-kindergarten, and then, the twins are 1. So trying to figure out the schedule and what works for everybody, and some of the growing pains with that are tough for everybody, but it's good. It's different, so I stayed home second semester of last school year as well. My wife did first semester for like a paternity leave, but now the dynamics are even different because the twins have grown so much. They're only a year, but they're like on the move, they're crawling everywhere, getting in everything, starting to try to walk. So it's not like, I don't know, when babies are first born, they can't do much. I mean, you just got to feed them, change them, they sleep. You can put them in like the crib or the car seat or drive somewhere, and they might sleep the whole time. And they don't care, but now they want out, they want to get out, they want to like do stuff. So when I, drive somewhere to get the kids or do an errand, they're not always just like chilling in there sleeping. They're like freaking out, like, get me out of here. So it's a different dynamic, but
yeah. And yeah, they're identical twins, right? You said?
Yeah. Identical girls.
I've always wondered, like, so twins don't run in our family. So I knew like, okay, we're probably not gonna have twins. But just like out of curiosity, I'm like, okay, cool. If I have identical twins, like, how am I going to tell them apart when they're babies? Like, did you guys paint toenails or something, or is that like a worry that is not?
We did all that
reality?
Stuff in the beginning, we definitely did all that. Like, we were just worried. I mean, you would never know if you mixed them up. Who would ever know, because you don't know. So the hospital could have mixed them up for all we know, but. They had tags and like wristbands, at the hospital. So like when we first took them home, like we didn't take the wristbands off them basically till they fell off, because we were like kind of. And then they were attached to their like car seats too. And we did the toenail for a while. We kind of did we always dressed like their names are Kennedy and Paisley. So like we always dressed Paisley, like if we could, like pink, purple, like stuff that you're like, oh, this is Paisley. And then we always set them like the same way. So like left to right. So like Kennedy was L, closer to left, Paisley closer to right. So like we still do that today. Like even like we put them in the car seats or the stroller or set them anywhere. Like Kennedy's like always on the left and Paisley's always on the right, and still try to dress them somewhat accordingly. Not that we could tell them apart now. It's just habit, but
yeah. Well, I mean, once they get a little bit older, like their personality starts to come through too, right? So you're like, okay, cool. Like, I obviously know who you are, but like, yeah, man, when they're babies, I can imagine that, You literally are looking at two babies, like they're crying and like they look exactly the same. I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
all right, which one are you?
And even for like pictures later or something, if sometimes it is kind of hard, we can be like, oh, that's got to be Kennedy because she's on the left. But now this is weird. Kennedy actually has like allergies. So she's got like milk, dairy, and like a peanut allergy, which Paisley doesn't have any of that. Like we had them tested and it was like, so I don't really know how that evolves when they're, identical twins.
Yeah.
So that's kind of strange. So that's another wrench thrown in there because so like they have to have different, like milk because Kennedy can't have like now she drinks, they drink just regular milk.
I'd be like, you are both now allergic to peanuts.
Yeah. So when they, like daycare and stuff, it gets tricky because we have to like label the bottle and be like, all right, this is Kennedy's and this is Paisley. And it's like, if they can't tell them apart, it doesn't matter. So they have to like label them or put a different thing on them or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure. And she gets like hives and like breaks out and but she hasn't been like anaphylactic yet. But I mean, it could get worse, I guess. But so sometimes I think she comes home from like a daycare place or like wherever, and I feel like they gave them the wrong bottles because she'll be like kind of like all irritated and like rashy. And we're like, maybe she drank the wrong bottle today. I don't know.
Well, David, were y'all totally out of diapers with the other ones before you had the twins?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was the toughest for me, man. We were out of diapers for a bit, like we're on the potty.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden, like, cool, I'm back to diapers. So
yeah, and it's like the twins twice as many. So
yeah. Well, dude, man. So for Karl, for guys that don't know you, can you give just like a brief kind of summary of what I just want to know what you have going on right now, and then we can kind of go back in time and talk about where you came from, how you built this thing you have now, and then kind of dive into the importance of fitness.
Yeah. So I am currently staying at home with the twins. And then I have a 4 and 6-year-old boy too, but they're at school all day. So this has allowed me, one, to focus a little bit more on the fitness business. So I do online fitness coaching, mostly for dads, which kind of fits here. I have some women clients and such as well, but dads just relate to me, I guess, because I'm a dad. That's what I post about. And it just seems like that's sort of who's gravitated towards me. So that's really become my niche, I guess, is, constantly just, all right, busy dads. This is what I do. It works for me. It works for my clients. And here's what can work for you. So that's kind of what I've started for my, I guess, fitness business and coaching. And I moved more to an online space, one, out of convenience, and two, you can reach way more people. And it gives me a lot more flexibility as far as time. The goal is for me to be able to spend time with my family, be home, be kind of on my own schedule, while also being able to help others, help other dads and people anywhere in the world really kind of be healthy, get what they want out of life. And that kind of obviously transcends into happiness and being an active participant in your own life and be able to kind of like live life on your own terms. So yeah, I'm kind of the stay-at-home dad, I guess, but also working, so to speak, online. And then my wife's a teacher. So this first part is really gonna be crazy. She coaches volleyball at junior high.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, and then she does tutoring. And I'm like, this 6 weeks is gonna be, she's like not getting home till sometimes like 6:30. So it's like from 7 to 7, saw me, and it's you know how it is. I don't know if your kids are in activities yet.
Oh yeah, man. We do softball is our big one, and we're in fall softball right now. And for the first year, they're on a different team, and so we're having to manage like two practice schedules, 2 game schedules, and then they're both in gymnastics as well, which is like another night during the week. And then we're about to get him into something else. I don't even remember what it is, but it's like every day we have something going on. It feels like.
Yeah. So that's tough because like I'm really the only one that can be the driver right now. Other than if we get like a friend or someone else to kind of help out every so often. But so it's like I'm just like driving here and I drop this one off and then I drive here and I pick this one up and then I have to have the twins with me the whole time. So it's like stuff you don't ever think about. So it's like I got to take the one to school, but I got to pack all 3 of the other ones up. So this morning was crazy because not just keep talking about that, but like, so my son forgot his bag. So then I dropped him off at school, I had to come back. I had to grab his bag and then I dropped my 6-year-old off at school. And then the twins were freaking out. So I went home and got 2 bottles because I didn't have them, and drove to my other son's school to drop his bag off. came back, and then the twins have the kids' day out today. So I packed up all their stuff, fed them a little bit, and then drove to the kids' day out, drove back. I'm just like, geez, I already spent it's been an hour and a half. I probably spent how much gas we just used.
Yeah, dude. I feel you there, man. Like my wife is a stay-at-home mom. She's like, and she wasn't for the longest time. Like we both worked. But then when we had our son, who's 18 months now, we made a decision like, hey, let's have you staying home. And like, dude, she works way harder than I do. Like I work hard at my job and I work hard at this and create content and like trying to help dads and like I work super hard. But like I look at her calendar and I'm just like, my God, like I don't know how you do it. I mean, she's doing drop off, she's doing pickup, she's doing all the lunches and stuff around the house, and it's just like, yeah, we don't give our if we do have stay-at-home moms, like we don't give them the props they deserve. Man, it is a tough job.
Yeah, I know. It's not so much for me, it's not so much the driving around. I mean, it is kind of crazy, but I can accept that. It's more like some of it's like the constant neediness or like the whining, the crying, the fighting, that stuff. I'm just like, just stop fighting like the boys. And, if it's like the twins are crying and the boys are fighting or crying, that stuff, like, that's what really like grinds me. And I'm just like, if it happens for like a long time or a whole day and I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst day ever.
Well, I mean, you're running a fitness business. So like, when do you find time to work out? Because like you got a lot going on, man. And that's the thing. I'm sure you hear it all the time too, right? Is we always hear like, oh, I'm just too busy to work out, right? I just don't have time to work out, But obviously, like you're doing it. A lot of other dads are doing it. So like, when are you finding time?
I've had to change. I've had to change several times actually, based on sort of what's going on in our lives. That's one thing. Is I don't know. Sometimes you gotta change. You're not a morning person, and that's all the only time you have. Like, so now I've been working out at like 5-6 a.m. I've been trying to do 6 a.m. because 5 a.m. is like really early for me. Like I like to get up and be a morning person, have a cup of coffee and kind of do my thing, and I have no one up yet. And like, I need that hour or so to be like, all right, like I'm waking up, no one's bothering me, no one needs anything. But I've had to sort of transition into working out in the morning because it's just been better for our schedule to like get it out of the way and be done. And then I've also learned, I feel better. Like it's like, all right, I got my workout out of the way, feel good about the day. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I'm kind of like already moving. So I have kind of enjoyed it, but it does take me a little bit to get going in the morning. First, like when I switched to that, because I used to work out like after school, like 3:34 when I got home. So that again was an adjustment, but now I kind of prefer it. But one thing I will say is you gotta just get in the workout like when you can get it in. It might not be ideal, but if you can only do it at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and that's the only hour or half hour you got, it's easy if you do it or you don't. So same with like, if you can only do it in your lunch hour, or, at 5 p.m. or 8 p.m., like you said, you could either make an excuse and be like, oh, I just can't do it. I guess it's whatever. It's not the ideal time, or you just start doing it anyway. Yeah. Make a habit out of it. And then eventually it might be better in the end anyways, but.
Yeah. And you said something there that's important too, is like, you have to find out what works for you. Right. I think a lot of us are, especially like what we run into all the time is dads that like before they were dads, they were in good shape. And what they used to do is like go to the Gold's Gym for like an hour and a half, after work or whatever. Yeah. And like they're trying to take that same model to their fitness now, like as a dad. And I'm like, no, like you have to adjust, what you think your expectation is going to be around fitness, right? You can still be in great shape and you can still get a great workout in, but it's not going to look like it did before you had kids running around. Like you're going to have to make some adjustments. And yeah, man, like for me, man, it's not perfect. Like I'm still playing around with like to this day, right? Like, cause I work a 9-to-5 job, right? I do this and I'm trying to grow, the Epic Dad company as well. And so like, I have to find time to do all this stuff. And like, so I toy around with like, okay, do I get up at 4 a.m. and like, just go straight to work. Right. And like, get that work done and then get a workout in later in the day. But then like, I feel like shit, cause I like getting the workout in the morning. Then that means I'm not as productive at work. And so it's like, there's a balance there you have to kind of just play around with. But at the end of the day, we've all got to train in 24 hours, and you're going to prioritize and find time for what you think is important.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not always the same either, even for me. So like everyone's asleep at that time. So my wife, she's into fitness such too. So like, we're both kind of on board, and it's just something that's important to us is health, working out. One, obviously physical health benefits, but just mental health. And just, if I don't work out or she doesn't work out for a certain amount of time, you can just tell. She'd be like, you haven't worked out for like 2 days, something, have you? Because like I'm all like pissy or
grumpy.
whatever.
Yeah.
can't sleep, things like that. It just balances me out. But I mean, like sometimes the twins will wake up, like I'll be out there working out and she goes and works out at Orange Theory. So she kind of likes the whole like community type feel of, I work out in the garage gym, so I'm home. But if someone wakes up and needs something, I mean, what am I gonna do? Like sometimes the boys can kind of be self-sufficient. They can like watch a show, or I can get them some cereal or something and they can watch a show while I finish up. But the girls, maybe I can give them a bottle or something quick and they'll lay back down. But if they don't, which sucks, because then you're in the middle and then you're all like kind of pissed off for the day and you're like, mother F, the worst day ever. And then you gotta, like I said, it's either just don't finish or you don't do it, or you find out what time later to like, hey, I gotta finish the last 20 minutes or whatever. Even if you just go for a walk or like I don't know, jump on the bike. That's why I like the garage gym. I can go in there quick and do whatever I need to do if I have to, even if it's just like ride the bike for a little bit or throw a kettlebell around for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you said, not everything has to be like this crazy structured hour and a half, 12 sets of chest, 12 sets of biceps, like whatever, like the old people you're talking about. It's gotta change. You gotta evolve a little bit. And a lot of my clients are like that. They, like you said, they were athletes, they were fit, and then not suddenly, but the realization is sudden. You're 38 or whatever, and it's like, holy cow, like what the heck happened?
Yeah.
And then they try to get it back or go back to whatever they did 15 years ago.
Yep.
Like you pick up your notebook and you're like, oh, in 2000, I did 4 sets of bench press at 305, and they, jump on there, one warm up with the bar and get going, and then they like get hurt, or they can only do like 135 pounds. And then it's demotivating. And so, and they don't know what to do, or like I said, they keep getting hurt, or.
Yeah. And I would say there's nothing wrong with that model, right? Like the traditional, like go to the gym, do hypertrophy,
my
like
dad's retired and that's what he likes to do. He likes to lift weights. And
yeah,
I like to lift weights, but I've got other things that only lifting weights for me has kind of caused issues.
Yeah. And so if you want to do that, that's great. If you want to take that approach, that's great. But like now that you're a dad, you got to make some adjustments around your time, so as opposed to, you used to get off from work and get work out for an hour and a half. It's like, okay, well, like one of my rules, and like I don't follow it all the time, but I try to, is like I don't want fitness to take away from family time, right? And so I'm going to look at my calendar and say, cool, where can I put it in where it's not going to affect, how I can show up as a dad? And so like for me, that means super early in the morning, right? Like everybody's asleep. I'm going to get up. I don't want to get up early, but like that's the time I'm going to get it in. And so like you may have to do the same thing if you want to do that traditional approach. Is like you can shift that just from the afternoon to I'm going to wake up, really early. I'm going to head to Gold's Gym. I'm going to get it done and then come back and wake the family up, So it's like, there's nothing wrong with that approach, but I think the more flexible you can be, the better, just because so much stuff comes flying at you, as a dad.
My start of my workout week was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Or I went like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think I was working 5 days a week and then working out. And then it was like Monday off, and then like Tuesday, Wednesday, something crazy where like the weekend would come and I'm like, oh, this is like the freaking start of my workout like schedule. So I was kind of, tired already, but it just worked better for me to like do my workouts on the weekend, most of them, and then have like the weekdays really, I'd only have like 1 or 2 workouts during like the actual weekdays. Again, I guess for the same reason, because there was just so much going on. And if I was working out after school or whatever, then it just was taken away from time, or I don't know, my wife was having to pick up the slack. But anyway, so that was something I did for a while. And then finally I started doing it in the mornings, and that's kind of what I've been doing.
And I mean, the important thing is, right, there's not going to be one set solution, that's like a one size fits all. It's like, you've got to try things out, right? You got to figure out what works for you and your schedule, for your family. But it begs the question, to Karl, like why care? Well, like, why do I need to be fit as a dad? Right. Like, this sounds like a lot of work. And having to figure out a schedule. That? Yeah. Like, why do we need to be fit?
I mean, for me, there's some personal reasons, obviously, where, like I said, just mentally, emotionally, it makes me just, I don't really function if I don't have some sort of workout or fitness. So that makes me feel better mentally, physically, emotionally, all that stuff, endorphins and all that. I obviously like to look better as well, which isn't, end all be all, but I'd like to like see how long I can look fairly good or better for my age than 99% of the other dads out there, and see how long you can like adhere to that, because they say something like, what do I keep reading? Like to basically have a six pack or something is like a lower percentage of people have six packs than like $1 million or something. Like it's like some crazy thing. Like people have like all this money, but like the most people, you can have like $1 million easier than you can have like a six pack, which is crazy to me. So then I'm like, maybe would I trade a six pack in for $1 million? Maybe, because then maybe I could just earn the six pack back. I don't know. Anyway, so that's another reason. And then for my kids too, and family, they're young, and obviously those habits they learn now, they're going to take into forever. Because my dad was always into lifting weights and sports, and we had like a gym basically in our basement. Like my dad had a full on like everything, so he was always lifting weights. So then we started lifting weights, and my mentality kind of evolved to different things of modalities of fitness now. But obviously that carried on forever, and then carried into sports. And so like my boys now are 4 and 6, and so they'll want to like exercise, and they'll join us or do stuff. They're not like lazy, I guess, so to speak. So already now it's kind of creating habits in them now for just I don't know. I can already tell, not to like compare to like other kids, but they'll be, I don't know. People think we're crazy. I think we're the family that like walks and bikes everywhere. Like we almost like refuse to take the car if we can. And our kids like never complain. They'll ride their bikes or scooters.
Yeah.
We'll be working out or something. They'll want to like work out, and then like they're super into sports. And now I was talking to somebody about this. Now they're like, the eating. I feel about eating for kids is like seriously the worst thing ever. Like mealtime.
Dude, that's the worst time of my entire life.
It's like, God, dinner time. It's like, can you just freaking eat your meal? Like, what is the problem? Like, why does it have to take like an hour and a half? And then it's like all over the freaking kitchen. Anyways, but it's like motivated them now to like eat better. So like they're in like gymnastics too, and they're in flag football now, and pretty much every soccer, baseball. They've done pretty much every sport, wrestling. So we'll be like, oh, Coach Max, you're not gonna be able to do the pull-ups for Coach Max now because you didn't eat your protein. So now they'll like eat like the meat, like before they would just eat whatever the stuff they wanted, like the strawberries and the pancake or something, and not eat the bacon or the whatever meat you have, or the turkey or whatever chicken. So now they're more willing to eat better, which is kind of cool. But then on the other hand, I was talking to somebody, are we like creating like these like monsters? Are they going to be like, I don't know, like crazy about like fitness and health and like have like issues later? Or is this like a good thing? I don't know. To me, it seems like a good thing. They don't seem, crazy about it, because we still let them eat like junk food. Like we go to parties and they eat cake and cookies, and we're not like that family. Like, no, you have to have the organic whatever hummus bar that tastes like cardboard. I don't know. I just made that up. But so those are kind of long story, or short story made long maybe. But
yeah, well, I mean, there's a couple of things I want to pull out and kind of like pull a thread on. So like you said, one thing about your dad was really into working out. Had like a full gym downstairs and stuff, right? And was I don't know what it looked like for you, right? But I can imagine it would not be your dad pushing you to go work out. It would just be your dad just goes and works out. That's what he does, right? And you want to be a part of that, And so I think it's us as dads is setting that example, not pushing our kids, but just normalizing exercise and fitness, in our life. Like they're going to naturally be drawn to that because they want to do what dad's doing, right? So I think that's huge. And then you talked about we're the weird family. Yeah, totally resonate with that. We do the same thing, man. Like, we go on walks all the time. We're always outside. My kids are scootering if we go on a walk, or I got like my son in the backpack, or like pushing him on the car or whatever.
Yeah.
And screen time is like non-existent, for us. It's so funny to hear other parents talk about like the struggles with like tablets and like the screen, and I'm just like, that's literally like, we never have that on, and so I feel you. And it's funny. We go for a walk pretty much every night after dinner. We'll go for about like a 30-minute walk or so, weather dependent, if it's pouring down rain or whatever, we won't. But but about 2 weeks ago, it just made me think like, cool, like we're on the right path. We're doing the right thing. Was we were walking up this hill, and this younger woman, she's probably about, I don't know, 40, 45, like, about our age or so. She was pushing the lawnmower, and cutting her grass, and we were walking by, and she goes, I see you guys out here all the time, like you guys go on walks every night. And I didn't say anything. My wife was talking, and she goes, yeah, we try to do it every night after dinner, and she's like, that's so great. And then my wife like pointed to me, and she's like, yeah, he's the one, that's pushing us to go do it and make sure we're getting our walk in, and then the wife that was cutting the grass just said something that's like totally impacted me. She goes, man, I wish my husband would do that. I was just like, damn. I was like that. Yeah. I was like, that's the reason why like my company exists. Like it's for that, right? It's like to wake dads up to like, you're the leader. Like you need to be setting the example. You need to be setting the vision for your family, leading them. And not that I'm like, this amazing leader or anything like that, right? Like I fuck up all the time, every day. But but I think like having that mindset of like, I need to be doing these things to set the example and to lead the family was just a huge impact on me, man.
Yeah. No, you said obviously maybe you're not the best leader ever, but people think that everything's like perfection too, like especially on social media.
Yeah.
I post whatever.
Share the wins.
I'm trying to share, like post more just like real stuff. Everything's like dad stuff now that I post about, whether it's fitness or whatever. I try to connect it to dads or whatever, because that's my niche. But especially my stories, and I try to make more of a point to, I don't know what the word is, but make things more real. Because obviously, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. And many days are just a freaking shit show, and whatever, like, I don't know, you swear at your kids, or you say the wrong thing, you do the wrong thing, you lose your temper, and then I'm the worst parent ever. I'm the worst dad ever. And so I think people need to realize that, like, even though social media or me or whatever portrays whatever, that's not how it is. Like, we're in the grind. Some days are terrible, some days are great. Same with fitness too, and same with eating. Nobody is perfect. And people used to say, now that I have 4 kids, they feel like they understand a little better. They're like, oh, it's easy when you can have a garage gym and you work out 3 hours a day, and you could just meal prep all day. And it's like, okay, buddy, like, I got
that's not reality.
kids, and I'm not working out 3 hours a day, and I'm not, so for people to kind of understand that all dads go through the same, and men, even if you're not a dad, I guess, really, it's similar struggles. Like, nobody is beyond the struggles of life, the struggles of family, the struggles of work, mental health, all that stuff. Everybody's dealing with it. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much time you have, it doesn't like go away. So something to kind of keep in perspective for dads and such. You do the best you can, and you try to, like you said, lead by example and create good habits. But that's the other thing too, is like, if you make a mistake or you mess up, I've been trying to make like a point to, I don't know, just kind of own that. Like, if I maybe overreact to something my kids do, had a bad day and it was just like the last straw, like, I try to make a point to like come back, but hey, buddy, like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I kind of reacted poorly. Like, sorry, forgive me. And that's one thing I had, not to call my dad out, I learned from my dad on the opposite end.
Yeah.
Because he's old school. He's very stoic. Very just doesn't show a lot of emotion, or didn't growing up. Was very much the provider for our family, which no harm in that, nothing wrong with that. Like, that was what he knew, and that's what he did, and he excelled at it. But then it creates like a generation of, maybe men like us or whatever, that I see every day now in my community, and the dads and people I come across, we struggle so much to just, like, I don't know, show emotion. My kids have even said, like, made comments about like how I never cry. So kind of like, oh shit, like, kind of hits home. Now we need to like cry about stuff, but I think we just have a hard time reaching out to people, showing emotion, asking for help, asking other dads, hey, do you want to hang out? Like, I've been talking about this a lot too. So that's one thing I've been trying to do too, is be a little more vulnerable or real or open with my kids too, and admit, that it's okay to say you're wrong. It's okay to be sad or have emotions, or you don't have to always be this like tough guy. Cause that's a big burden to carry for guys, I think, when they feel like they always have to be the tough guy and they can never show any weakness or be like, hey, I need help too, or whatever. That's one thing, not to keep talking myself, but so I'm like a stay-at-home dad. So there's stay-at-home moms in the area. And I've realized that, like, I'm like a social anomaly or something. Like, there's not a lot of stay-at-home dads that I know, or I guess some work from home. So it's like a weird group I put myself in, if you call it a group. It's like the mom's like, hey, you can come for a walk with us, or
You're like
you can come
Wednesday
to
wine day.
coffee or book club. But like, can I really? Like, I don't know. I don't want to be, I would, like, I don't care, but then I don't want to be like, oh God, he actually came, and then I probably don't want to talk about the same things as them, and so I don't like, I'm not really in those groups. And then even like work, I've been out for that semester and, the start of this semester, and I'm sort of like out of the work group.
Mm-hmm.
They text me sometimes. I've hung out with them like a couple times. They have a thread to going. I'm sure you do at work too, where everyone's talking about work and teaching and whatever. Like, I'm not in it because I don't know what the heck they're talking about. So I've been sort of like removed from that group. So it's like I was talking about community. Like, I realize guys can get lonely in a hurry because if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have work groups, you don't have home groups, and you're sort of just like, I'm working out for my garage. So it becomes a weird dynamic. So I've been trying to reach out a little bit more to kind of guys and dads in the community. And because, I mean, how often do you like call a buddy up and be like, hey, you want to go for a walk, or you want to come hang out on the deck? Do you want to, I mean, we might go for a drink, but like,
Mm-hmm.
to go like have a cup of coffee, or we're not gonna have book club. I don't know. It's just, I mean, I don't know. So guys community and guys relationship building is different after school, sports, college, whatever it is. You sort of lose that kind of aspect because we don't know, most guys don't know how to, we don't know how to reach out to people.
Yeah.
We don't call
Yeah.
people, text people and do those things where like my wife does. And
Yeah, I think we try to go through all this stuff, and I think you said the word purpose. Like we're it's a heavy weight to bear, right? You've got all these responsibilities, right? To be the financial provider, to be a leader for the family, make sure you're taking the family in the right direction. And like, there's not a playbook, right? I mean, there's not just like some PDF I can get that's like, cool, here's exactly what I'm supposed to do, right? And every decision I'm supposed to make. And we put ourselves on this island and try to make all these decisions in a vacuum. And then when things go wrong, we have no outlet to get help, or we have no outlet to kind of voice our opinion on things. And so I agree, man. I think community is something that a lot of guys are lacking. And even if you do have community, I think you need to make sure you have the right kind of community. A lot of us, if like at the workplace, we may have kind of the water cooler bunch, right? Or we may have, some folks that like, do fantasy football or something like that. And that's great, right? Like you want to have friendships like that. But I think you also want to have a community as well that is pushing you, that's challenging you, that's holding you accountable, that's helping you reach your potential. And I think if you don't have a community like that, what's nice is, there's a lot of bad things about social media, but there's also a lot of good things too, if you know how to use it, for good, right? And part of that is community. And so you can actively, seek out other people that are on the same path as you, connect with them, and kind of build and foster that community. So I would say, there's like people you have fun with, right? And you need that. Maybe it's, like I said, fantasy football, but then you also need that group. I feel like this is where a lot of guys are lacking, is they don't have that cohort that's gonna challenge them, that's gonna call them on their bullshit, that's gonna say that's not, you're not acting in alignment with, I know what you're capable of right now,
yeah,
so I feel like we all need to kind of push and foster that community too.
yeah, it's not as much about, being better, whether it's health or being a better dad or husband or whatever. It's about just like hanging out, having fun, having a drink, having a beer with the boys. You know, not often are guys like challenging you, like, if like my friends and stuff, or my whatever people if they're not working out, or I'm not really saying that. I mean, I'll say, hey, I can help you out or whatever. But if they're, I don't know how we're going to tell them to try to be a better dad. Hey, you need to like try to be better for your kids. They'll probably be like, like, fuck you, man. Like, but I think we do need that. We did it. If you were an athlete, like most of my clients are, like, you hold each other accountable all the time. If you're in college or high school and you're got the big playoff game next weekend and your buddies went out drinking or whatever, you'd be like, what the frick are you doing, man? Like, you would call them out, or, so.
Yeah. And I think there's a tactful way to do that too. Of kind of taking maybe some of those friends that are in that peer group that, like, are out drinking, or, just doing neighborhood stuff, whatever the case is. I think tactfully you can do that, not by like calling them out on their bullshit, but you can do that by becoming like basically leading by example, right? Of like becoming that type of dad, because if they're interested in becoming a better father, and they see you doing all this awesome stuff of like cool going for walks with your kids after, after dinner, or like getting really good shape, or always having a positive mindset, like they're going to notice, man. And at some point in time, if they're serious about wanting to better themselves, they're gonna be like, dude, what are you doing? Can you help me here? So I think you can do it, I think, with that peer group without coming off as like a dickhead. And then all of a sudden, hey, you start to open up, have kind of deeper conversations with them about what they really want. And then all of a sudden, cool, you can start holding each other accountable, right? Because you know what he's going after.
Yeah, you mentioned fantasy football. Actually, we've been talking about it for a couple of years, and I'm not like crazy into football. Like I don't follow it all in the off season, but I like to do fantasy football for fun. So we finally started, or I kind of did, a fantasy football league with like the dads in our community. So we ended up getting like 12 of them and had the draft on Sunday. And actually, I didn't even know, but like 4 or 5 of them have never even played fantasy football before. And I was kind of just like, you've never played fantasy? Sorry if you haven't, but it was sort of like, you've never played once in your life? Like, where you been? But they still did it. Like, they paid, it's like $30. So, and it was like a community. Like we had the draft and people, had pizza or whatever. People kind of came over, brought whatever they wanted and chatted and had 2 hours. Like the moms, we were like, all right, the moms and the kids, like this is dads. We got to be able to focus. We can't have like all this stuff running around. We need our 2 hours or whatever. And that's what we did. And we sat outside on one of the guys' deck, and I don't know. And then like afterwards, everybody was like, oh, that was so great. Like texting, like, thanks for doing that. Like that was a lot of fun. And like, it's good to just kind of hang out. Like some of these dads, like I kind of knew, and now I got a face to the name, or I didn't even know they were in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody lives within a few blocks, but then you have never seen them, or you've seen them, but you never talked to them. So yeah, that's something I've been trying to do now that I've been home, because I realized, one, I need it. And I don't know, I've gotten to an age where I just kind of don't care anymore. I'm like, whatever, I'll be the one to reach out and try to, I guess. I've been trying to be more cognizant of that. And if the thing is, like, I've been doing that, and even just talking to guys or the group, whatever, the group in the neighborhood. And never once has anyone ever been like made fun of you or been like, oh, whatever, I don't need that. Or they're always like, oh yeah,
I'm too cool for
that's
that.
great. I've been thinking that too. Or, I've been kind of talking to people about being a dad, whether you're a busy dad working or you're at home, or, it seems like the moms like plan everything and do everything and like have all the activities, they do, organize everything for the kids and for themselves. And then if they're not organizing, you go along for the family stuff, but you don't ever organize like your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was like, well, why don't we? Like, this guy the other day was saying like, oh yeah, the first couple of years, he was like, yeah, my wife was kind of like, they're home a lot, they're breastfeeding, they're doing all this stuff with the kids. And there's just kind of more of the, I don't know, it seems like the mom just takes on that caretaker role the first couple of years for sure. So then now she wants to go out and get pedicures and do stuff and whatever. So like he lets her, and whatever. Same with my wife. Like I don't think I've ever told her, no, you can't go do something. Like you can't go hang out with the women. But then like, why don't we do that? Why don't we like, hey, I want to go for a cup of coffee with my buddy, or I want to go for even just a drink. He was saying how he kind of like felt bad because, she wants to do all this stuff and he doesn't want to. So he stays with the kids, but then he never, asks to like, or maybe just doesn't have anything because he doesn't plan it. Mm-hmm. But another dynamic where I think we need to try to be more of the planners or the active people, even like you said, even if it's just for whatever, one drink, a cup of coffee, I don't know, anything. But yeah, I think guys just have a harder time planning, or we don't think about it or something.
Yeah, I think, we've kind of outsourced that role to mom, right? And like I said, we live on an island, but I think in-person community is very important too. I think, like I said, there's a lot of things you can do online, which is great, but nothing replaces, like sitting down across the table for somebody and just having a conversation, what I kind of do for a community is I go to like a CrossFit class, right? Mm-hmm. Because I've got a garage gym, which I think is like, you need to have one if you're a dad. Yeah. Like you got to have a garage gym. So I work out there a lot. Yeah. But it's good to have that community aspect too. To get in and kind of like challenge yourself with some other men, which is really good. But so Karl, how old are you, man? Do you mind if I ask?
I'll be 42 in September 20th. So 41.
Okay, cool, man.
It's crazy for some reason. Feels like I just turned 40 like yesterday, but I don't know.
You're only a few days away from my birthday. I'm the 16th. I'll be 37 though. So you got a couple years on me. what do you like? Let's talk tactically now. Like, okay, we understand the importance of being in shape, like why that's important, why we want to be in shape.
Mm-hmm.
We understand we're probably gonna have to shift some things as a dad now, because we have multiple priorities. We got stuff on our plate, and so it's probably not going to look like going to Gold's Gym and like doing curls for 3 hours. So like, what can we do as dads? Like, what does the schedule look like? How intense are we working out? How much does diet play into it? If guys are like, yeah, man, I want to make a change.
Yeah, I mean, first you gotta, I guess, decide how important it is to you. Because I get a lot of leads, I guess you'll call them, or calls, or I'll call potential clients, or have clients, and they'll put all this stuff down like on a form. It's like, oh man, this guy like totally wants to change. Like he literally wrote like 5 paragraphs about how he needs to change his life. But then you talk to him, and then you talk about, oh well, here's a subscription, it costs this much per month, and they're like, oh yeah, I don't know, I don't know if I can do that. Like I gotta, and then I'm just like, all right, well this, you try to talk them through it, whatever, but it's like, all right, they're not gonna do it. So then, not they have to pay me, or not that like, money is everything, but you got to kind of figure out how important it is to you. If you're not willing to spend, $100 here and there, whatever, to get help or to get the fitness, go to whatever gym you need, CrossFit you, then I mean, it's probably not that important to you, because you're probably spending money elsewhere, or wasting money elsewhere on things that don't matter, aren't improving your life, that you could easily, have one less cup of coffee, have one less drink, go out to eat one less time per week, and that money's there right there. So that's first thing. The second thing is I guess scheduling, like figuring out where you can fit it in, like we said earlier, in your life, and then making sure that you get it in during those times, and try to be as consistent as you can. Things that I do is, I have changed a lot of like the old school, mentality of just straight lifting. So I still lift for strength and, muscle building, and do some of that, but I'm a little more found ways to be more efficient, where I can get like everything in an hour or less, where I'm doing like a warm up, I'm doing some mobility stuff, some prep stuff, I'm lifting pretty heavy or hard, intensely. And then I'm doing, like maybe sort of I call them like it's kind of a CrossFit term, but metabolic conditioning, or like a circuit or high intensity workout of some sort, whether it's, 10, 15 minutes. And then I'll do like some stretching. So if you're more efficient, and you kind of like maybe doing supersets, or you're rotating through rounds, and you're kind of on a clock, and you're not just doing a set, resting 2.5 minutes, talking to your buddy, doing a set, what I mean? Like that just takes so much time. And it's, what do you even need to do that for anymore? So that's another way. It's just kind of like strategize and be more efficient in the gym, is, and also focusing on all those other accessory, smaller things, the mobility, flexibility, the range of motion, warming up, cooling down, are all.
That's for suckers, things. Man. That's for suckers. That's warming up, cooling down for suckers, man.
The days, and a lot of my clients too, they get hurt all the time. Oh, I work out and then I get hurt. Well, a warm up isn't, I warm up. It's not like get on the bike for 1 minute, and then you are doing squats or something, and you do like 10 squats with the barbell, and then you throw on 2 plates, and then you're like going to town. Like, once you're in your 30s and 40s, it's just different. Like I can't just jump on there and go. Like, so that's something that people need to start realizing too, is the warm up is not one set of 10 with a 45-pound barbell. At least it shouldn't be. And at my age, it doesn't work. What else? Nutrition.
Yeah.
Nutrition is definitely, I think, tough for many, many people, for especially busy working dads, even stay-at-home dads, maybe even worse, working from home. One, I think people they don't realize how unhealthy like some things are. One, and two, they don't realize how like simple it is actually to like kind of to fix, really, in some ways. I try to just focus on, as much as I can, eating like real foods. So like I'd say, like if it came from the ground or it had eyes, it's probably pretty decent for you to eat. I mean, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, it's a little bit different, but it's kind of morbid, but that's like a simple way to think of it. If it's not those, then, it's probably not as good for you. But do I eat obviously processed and things that come from boxes and packages? Yes. But I try to focus on, the most part, as consistent as I can, eating like real foods. and nutrient dense foods because I actually started like losing weight, maybe because of stress and sleep. So, and maybe I'm losing muscle because I'm getting older. I'm not working out as hard. I don't know, but the twins have definitely aged me, I think like 5 years, I feel like in the last year. But anyways, I've been trying to eat like more, like 3,000 calories. And I realized like if I'm eating like nutrient dense foods, like just like, chicken and turkey and fruits, vegetables, it's like I can eat like so much food. It's like insane.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'll get to like the end of the day and I'll be like, I got like 700 calories left. Like, I guess I'm gonna go eat something. Like, what the freak? And granted, like, I shouldn't say that because some people are trying to lose weight. But then it's like all of a sudden I eat, I don't know, like I had some of my kids leftover cake. I eat a piece of cake and you just kind of look at, what's the calories of like an
it's like 500 calories. Yeah.
500 calories. And it's like, of like pure carbs and fat. It's like, oh, well, that went up in a hurry. Or, again, not to be crazy about it, but like a huge piece of pizza or whatever, this could be like 750 calories in like a huge Chicago style deep dish. So all of a sudden, what I could have eaten a pound of chicken probably for that, not even met it. So little things like that, it's tough. People have business meetings and they're working and they're ordering out. They don't understand like if I get a salad or something or a Chipotle rice bowl or whatever. But once I throw all the rice on there, and then once I throw the sour cream and like dressing on there,
and the sauce,
literally gone to like 1,500 calories. If you just take the dressing off and maybe put it on the side, don't get the sour cream, maybe get rid of the cheese, even maybe half the rice or no rice, you've just like literally got like a 500 calorie decent meal. So I don't know.
Yeah,
helps anybody. But
yeah, I mean, like a good approach, like simple approach. And like, we're not perfect, man. Like, I eat packaged stuff too. Right. And like when you have kids, like you're going to have some of that stuff around the house. Right.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to say like, yeah, my kids eat steak and they eat like nothing but like whole foods.
They eat like their chicken nuggets.
Yeah, right, dude. Yeah, that's what it is. It's chicken nuggets and mac and cheese is what they eat like 90% of the time. So like we have some of the stuff around the house, but like as best you can, like when you go to the grocery store and you're shopping for you and for your wife, like the adults, is like just walk the exterior, right, of the grocery store, right? You're gonna have your meat, you're gonna have your your vegetables, you're gonna have some of your dairy, your eggs, like all around the exterior, right? If you start going down the aisles and start filling your cart up for stuff you're gonna eat, like that's where you're gonna start running into trouble, So I agree, man. Like just try to do the whole foods because it's gonna be so much more nutrient dense and you're gonna get a lot more bang for your buck. Instead of
feel better too.
Yeah, you feel better. I mean, it's real food.
Yeah. We had the twins' birthday party, and I was just eating. You just snack on it. You have whatever piece of pizza, you have a cookie, you have the cake, and just like, man, the next couple of days, like I feel like shit, man. Like this is.
Yeah.
No wonder I don't eat like that all the time. Like it was great. Like the thing is, too, people don't realize like the day my twins' birthday is, I was like, I'm gonna literally eat whatever I want today and drink whatever I want. Like I don't care. And I did. And I mean, you kind of feel it the next day, but I don't not enjoy like those moments. I mean, I kind of like, you can take it two ways, not to get off topic, because one, you can sort of do it in moderation. Like, all right, I'll have a little bit of cake, a little bit of whatever, and that's good for me. Or, you can just kind of like, I'm just going to enjoy this day and it's one day. But in preparation, like I do kind of lock it up the day before and after, like, or the day of, like I try to eat like really, really healthy, or, not to get like eating disorder type things, but maybe I'll fast for like skip breakfast for that day for like 12 hours or something, which isn't, a big deal, but just, it kind of just balances things out. If I'm eating like shit all morning and then I go and eat shit at the birthday party, and then the next day I still eat like shit, or if I eat my regular 3,000 calorie day or whatever, and then I go to the birthday party and eat another 3,000 calories, which is easy to do in 1 hour. It's like all of a sudden, I've had 6,000 calories in one day, which is insane. But, and then, like the next day you have all the leftovers for like 4 days. And then, so that's something I've tried to do is before and after weddings, special occasions, is kind of try to lock it up. So that way that day I can just enjoy it. And then the next day or the days after, I try to, like, I've had like some of the cookies and some of the cake since, but like we had like this, I don't know if you know what Lou Malnati's pizza is, but in Chicago, it's, oh, you haven't ever had it? Holy cow, it's deep dish, like huge, like the best pizza you could ever have. So we had like all this leftovers, and I think I had it one time, and I took it to the fantasy football thing, and like they all ate it. So I try to make a point to like not continue to eat like that like the whole week. Like people are like, oh, we got leftovers, but then it's like, all right, well now you've literally eaten like 2 pieces of pizza for every meal for the last 3 days, and it's like huge pieces. So little tips like that can help. Just I don't know. Her mom always tries to give us all I'm like, no, we're not eating that. We're not going to eat it. Don't give me all these cookies and
Yeah, like
leftovers.
the leftover cake. Yeah, that we had a birthday party. Yeah,
I
like
might eat
what
like
do you
one
guys
of it,
taste
but like I can't. So get out of the house so you're not tempted. Nutrition wise too is if you have like easy, ready to go, like a little bit of meal prep, but not always like healthy snacks, it goes like a long way. So like hard boiled eggs, I don't know, whatever fruits and vegetables you like that you can just pack up and eat. Like you can't really go wrong, even if it's even if it's like protein bars or tuna. Like I go to because otherwise, once you like, I notice when we get behind, and then you're just eating whatever like you can find. You're kind of behind the meal prep or the groceries, and it's like, oh, what's left? Oh, there's a bag of Oreos in here. Oh, all right, I guess I'll eat some of those. Or it's like, whatever's in the fridge, and